I was so young too that 3 years felt like a big portion of my life. So this was
Right.
probably age like 17 to 2021-ish.
Yeah.
And that was like my first dark night of the soul that kind of initiated me into becoming this wellness spiritual teacher that I am today. And then a few years after that, there was a second dark night of the soul. And that's when I went through a really bad breakup and I was just going through a lot of grieving and somehow like processing all those really heavy emotions just shed so much energetic density from my body that I opened myself up to all these psychic and intuitive gifts that I had no idea that I had. I became basically like a psychic medium overnight, which was crazy. And so now I use those gifts of channeling and intuitive gifts to help my clients and to write awesome books and to just help people avoid unnecessary suffering and manifest their best lives.
I know the unnecessary suffering is the part because suffering is part of life. And it's
And
always, it's from our darkest times. I mean, I read this beginning and I'm like, well, yeah, there's not going to be only one. Like that's just not life. But it's so interesting. So from 17 to 2021, it is so young. And how did you get out of it? And were you still like showing up for life? What were you doing then?
yeah, I was doing the bare minimum. So they diagnosed me with like functional depression. So I was still going to
Mhm.
school and like doing
Okay.
stuff, but with a brave face on and just like suffering and like slowly dying from the inside. And it was the perfect storm of hormonal imbalance of being a teenager, going on birth control. I've trained my whole life to be a professional dancer, and then I got injured. And on top of that, I was just really lacking emotional intimacy with myself and others that I just need to feel connected and to thrive. And so all of that just led to the perfect storm. And eventually, how I healed was I hit my pain threshold and I was like, okay, I'm like dreaming of a coma. I'm like dreaming of driving on the wrong side of the road, getting hit by a bus. This is obviously not sustainable. I need to figure out how to enjoy my life stat. During that time, I ended up moving to a place that was very green. I'm from San Diego, so it's like a desert. And I ended up randomly moving to Columbus, Ohio in the summer where it was like
Oh my
very
gosh.
green and there
That's
was
random.
so random. I only knew one person there. I visited one time and I thought it was so cute. I was like, oh my gosh, there's no traffic here. People hang out on their front porch. Look at all these cute parks. I can walk everywhere. And I just was like, I don't care what anybody says. This is really weird to go from San Diego to Ohio, but I'm doing it because I need to be in a place that's green, that's lush, where I can start over and just have a new life. So I moved there. It was cold, obviously. I only lasted 2 winters until I met my now husband, who he had gone to Ohio State and then returned back to Columbus. And we were just like both passing through and we met. And I was like, we got to get out of here and go somewhere
Yeah.
warm. So we moved down to the Carolinas.
So you said something before that I found really interesting. You said when you were in your earlier depression that you didn't have any emotional intimacy. And that's got to be hindsight. You couldn't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
known that
For
at the
sure.
time.
Yeah.
And that's such an adult view, not a 17-year-old's view.
Yeah, because at
How
the
yeah.
time, I didn't understand, like, how to feel or, like, I would just always suppress
Yeah.
everything, like, "Oh, I don't have time for that. I don't wanna feel like
Yeah, I
that.
didn't grow up feeling anything or knowing
Not
what my
valid."
feelings were. We didn't talk about our feelings in my house growing up. So a lot of people do, but we didn't. When people go, anyway, I still Google feelings chart sometimes and go, oh, that's it. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
way better now. It's lots of practice, but there's a lot of feelings. So sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure how to look. So, how did you learn and grow and know about emotional intimacy? I found that to be an interesting.
Yeah. So, in a lot of the work that I was doing with my shaman friend, he would just sit with me in whatever I was feeling, and we would just like make it okay to feel like that. Like, not in
Mhm.
the same way where you go to therapy and they try to fix you or diagnose you or make you feel better, but it was more just, okay, we're just going to be curious about this feeling. We're going to let it happen in the body. We're going to observe it just from a compassionate witness standpoint. We're not going to get lost in it. We're just going to watch it happen in the body and see what comes from that. And when I started practicing that over and over, I became more intimate with my feelings and I became more accepting that every emotion, no matter how uncomfortable, is a messenger of some sort of personal truth. And you can't access that personal truth unless you let yourself feel that feeling. So, for example, if you're angry, your anger could be trying to point you to a personal boundary that you violated or someone else violated. If you're sad, that could be pointing you to a need that's not getting met in your life. If you are, let's say feeling jealous, that could point you to a desire that you have. So it's every emotion, no matter how icky or heavy it feels, has a positive message for you. But you can only access that if you're willing to go there, which is uncomfortable. But with practice and breathing through it, and sometimes with a guide by your side, which now I help people with this too, it really becomes less scary and less intimidating, and you just ride the wave.
I feel like every time I jump out of the shower, I'm like writing down what came
Yeah, that's
because it is, because there's no, that's the whole thing about put down all, take a walk without a device and walk the opposite direction that you usually do. If you go around the block, go the other way and doing things in the opposite direction just so it isn't by rote. And yeah, it's also the getting outside part, but it's so true because that's where the downloads happen. It might not be
yeah, and
walking
I'm a
for
big
you, but yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry,
Oh,
was it?
no, you're a big what? No, I wanna hear.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm a big journaler, so I like to do a
Yeah,
lot of my intuitive work in the journal so I don't lose
yeah,
it. So I'll pose a question to my spirit team, let's say if I'm struggling with something, and then I will just journal the answer so I have it in writing so I don't forget. Because
yeah,
sometimes if you're just doing it all in your head, it comes really fast and you're like, "Oh, I forgot already." Or if you,
yeah,
like, voice record yourself too on a walk or something, that's helpful.
yeah, definitely. And ChatGPT, no matter how you feel about it, it does a better job of voice recording than just notes or wherever you
Oh,
voice
I've never
record.
used it for that.
Oh my god, it's so much better, so much better. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your favorite thing to do right now?
Right. My
Yeah.
favorite thing is always writing. I've hosted retreats, I work with clients one on one, and I love all of that stuff. I love working with people and seeing the instant shifts that happen. But for me, the most therapeutic thing where I feel the most charged after and not drained is to write. And it's interesting because, and this goes back to your question about my spiritual journey now, I've been working on a book that I intuitively feel is going to be a lot bigger than all of my other books combined. And this project has felt very intimidating to me because of that. Because before, when I was a new author, I was like, who knows how many people are going to read this? Who cares? Just put it out there. But now, like, I have work behind me. So you gotta outdo yourself. And this book I know has information that a lot of people are like asking for, like from the depths of their soul. So I feel like a heavy responsibility with it. And it's about like law of attraction and when you're feeling blocked, when you're feeling stuck, how to unstuck yourself, how to work through your resistance and align your energy really good no matter what's going on.
What's the hardest challenge you've ever gone through and how did you get through it?
I would definitely say the hardest challenge was the heartbreak of not becoming a professional dancer because that's what I had banked on for like my whole entire life from age 2 to age 17. So almost, 15 years of, okay, this is my timeline, this is my life, this is what I'm doing. I'm really focused, I'm really aligned. And then feeling like my body betrayed me by becoming injured and feeling, God, what the heck? I thought you created me for this, but now you're taking it away and I don't understand. And that identity crisis that I went through during the depression and all of that was really tough because I had really wrapped myself around the identity of being this artist, being this dancer, being this ballerina, and that's all I am, right? Which is not true, but at the time that's what I felt and believed. And so I think mourning the loss of that timeline and then just realizing that everything that I was trying to get through dance and performing, like feeling graceful, feeling beautiful, channeling God's energy, feeling strong, feeling like my presence is like giving a positive effect to other people, like all of those things I can still access in other ways. And finding other ways, creative ways to access them has really been, I think, the most healing part. And then just not tying myself to such a limited identity anymore and just being me. Like I'm me and I do a lot of different things, but I'm not any of those things. And just really letting myself be bigger than what I'm doing or what I love.